as they're printing and they're ramping up, the operators need to know 100% of the quality of their labels and what happens during that process, being printing process, being the rewinding process, slitting, converting, coating, any of those processes. The only way they really know about what's going on 100% is to look at it while it's being made.
Okay.
And that's primarily what we do. So this is what they would see on the printing press normally. So what we would do, what we want to do, is we want to be able to freeze it so they now can see exactly what's happening in their process, in their operation. So depending upon, this is made up special with multiple repeats on it, so that we can show how simple it is for the operator to be able to just dial in whichever thing they want to read, and if they want to look for any sort of imperfections on any of these, it's very simple for them to pick them up just with their naked eye.
Sure.
So now, two types of inspection. You have your visual inspection, but the big thing that we're doing now is the UV inspection, the security prints, the coatings, things where you're not supposed to see it until you turn the light on. So if you're doing any sort of security prints, be it for money, be it for coding process, your papers that your labels are going to go on in that, your substrates in that, all that has a coating on it. So in order to know if they have voids, skips, or misses, they put a phosphor in their material, and then whenever they turn on the UV strobes, they can see it. Without it, they see nothing. With it, they have perfect clarity about it. So even if there's streaking or problems that are occurring inside that print, they know what it is, but under the normal printing, they have no clue if anything's happening at all. So,
Very interesting.
well, your combination of your visual print versus your UV print, so that the operators know at any time what the process is. Now, one of the questions you had asked about what's new. Okay, about 6-7 years ago, waking up at night saying, oh my God, what would happen if somebody created a UV or an LED strobe light? We basically made xenon strobe lights, have for 50 years. So we spend about $1 million a year in R&D to develop new strobe lights, which is one of the reasons why we have 4 times as many lights as anybody else. We're twice as bright as everybody else, because we have to be the constant leader in the industry. And that's, so basically you have your basic xenon light, which has been around for many years. Where the LEDs come in, if you notice, physically, size-wise, they're smaller. If you notice on this one, there's a certain amount of ghosting that you get on there. That's because the ambient lights are too bright and they're overpowering the strobe lights, the xenons. The beauty of the LEDs, not only are they smaller, they're lighter, and they're brighter. So we can eliminate that ghosting because they're brighter. And even in the area here, there's a very fine defect that's floating around on that label. So any operator can sit there and be able to do the inspection without having to have a vision system, an automatic system. And that's the one thing that the lights, our lights, strobe lights, they complement vision systems. They don't compete against them. Because with the vision systems, you get it, in many of them, you get the micro-analysis. You get your dot matrix of your print, and it blows it up, and you can see if there's any problems in there. But things like scumming, filming, things like that that are across the entire web, it's very difficult for them to pick up. But yet with a strobe light, it illuminates the entire web, and it's very simple for them to pick up massive macro defects instead of micro defects, as
Okay.
well as, again, being able to pick up the micro defects that are in there. I don't know if you can see it from where you are, but there's a little skip right there and a little dot. You can see the skips
Oh,
and
yeah.
voids, little white dots in there.
Sure, yeah.
So, and it doesn't make a difference if it's on every repeat or just once around a cylinder circumference. It always lets you see the defect. Because basically what we're doing is we're taking a single defect and we're freezing it multiple times. So your eye very easily can pick up because it repeats for you. So it's a very simple operation, and it's a great tool for them just to walk up anywhere on their presses and they can look for any sort of defects or flaws that might be in the process. So you had mentioned about, you know, what's new, LEDs. There's another thing that's good about LEDs too. Besides for they're brighter, they're lighter, they're smaller, environmentally, they're better. Xenon lights create ozone.
Okay.
LED lights don't create ozone. Xenon lights use a certain amount of energy. The LED lights use 1/3 the same energy. This becomes critical now. In the last week, the Supreme Court made a ruling that energy companies have to credit back companies that save money on their electrical uses in that. Well, if everybody could cut back 1/3 of their power, or 2/3 of their energy with their equipment, that's a massive savings for a lot of these companies. So, but that's primarily what we do with the lights. The other thing that we are excited about is with the UV. We're the only company that makes a UV strobe light for security printing. We have for 20 years. We've made UV lights. Now, before they had to be made with the xenon lights.
Okay.
Now, that requires you to put a filter on the front of it, the UV glass. There's a penalty for doing that because you cut a lot of the light out. So we were able to, you know, give them some sort of inspection, but they had to be relatively close to the surface. And if you smell, that's the ozone.
Okay, yeah.
So even though there's ozone filters and everything else on there, it still creates it.
Sure.
The beauty of the xenon lights, again, same light, smaller, lighter, brighter, and from much farther away, we can get this better excitement out of it. You know, they're up to 10 times brighter than what the old ones were. So instead of using larger units, now the companies can use smaller units and they can cover a much bigger area. Besides picking up your security print, that is the only way they can do it, be it money, be it labels, be it pharmaceuticals, anything that they have to have a security on, they could use that. The other part of it is on your labels, you can see if there's skips or voids. In this particular case, this is supposed to be empty because on the label they will put the lot numbers and the other information on there. Now, if this had spilled over, they wouldn't be able to put it on there and they wouldn't be able to guarantee that the correct information is on the product. So, you know, there's a lot of different advantages to this. And one of the other problems is if we were to with the older systems, you pretty much had to control your ambient light.
Okay.
Now with the new systems, because of the greater intensity, we can still do the same inspection even if it's in the light area.
Okay, sure.
So it saves the customer from having to create these HUDs or darken the area or be in a, you know, possible unsafe situation where the operator's got to be in a darkened area. So that's why we're excited about this. We're excited about offering the UV lights to them and the security print that they can now inspect without any trouble whatsoever. So,
Terrific.